Hello and welcome to another Business Spotlight interview. Today I am joined by Adam Maitland. Adam, how are you doing today? Thanks very much for coming along, by the way.
No, thank you. Good to see you.
Excellent, excellent. So Adam, first off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and could you tell us a little bit about your business as well, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose my background, I'm a M&A corporate finance guy by trade. So started life in investment banking, and spent some time in leverage finance as well, working for HSBC back in the days. And then possibly more interestingly, I worked for a private equity backed oilfield services company, and helping them with their in-house M&A strategy for a period of time before that sold in 2013. After that, joined PwC in their corporate finance team and was focused on energy services transactions and local transactions as well. So yeah, I suppose for the last 15 years, I've been involved in deals in some capacity.
Brilliant, brilliant. And could you tell us a little bit about your business then, Hutcheon Mearns?
Yeah, for sure. So Hutcheon Mearns was founded in 2015 by my business partner, Craig Hutcheon. The original premise of Hutcheon Mearns was about providing qualified and experienced accountants into companies to help out on projects. So my business partner, Craig, and I used to work together in-house. And every time I would support and buy a business, he was finding it was challenging to get resource into his team. So he looked after a team of 60 finance people worldwide. Um, and it was really difficult to go out to the market and actually get people who understood what it was like to be on that side of the table, to come in quickly, be quite autonomous, and help you with certain short-term projects. So Craig set up the business to do that originally with the idea of one, he himself was going out into companies and to build a team of experienced technical accountants. So by virtue over the small period of time before I joined, he was getting dragged more and more into transactions, and companies were asking him to support on it could be business planning, it could be small acquisitions, it could be a bit of diligence on transactions. But yeah, he at the time didn't really have that deals capability within the business. So in 2017, I joined and jumped out to Big Four with the idea that there was a real gap to provide much more flexible, much more tailored corporate finance and corporate development support. So on that journey to a transaction for a company, how do we support on 1,000 things that get you there in the end, and be cost effective and focus on value. So I came in 2017, and I think at the time we were 6 people in the business, in a small little office in Aberdeen. Since then, we've grown pretty rapidly, so we're now up to about 50 people in total across the offices. So we have Aberdeen, we have Dundee, and we have Edinburgh, which we're just kicking off. Um, we've always been focused on providing some form of finance advisory and finance solutions. We have probably changed our strategy slightly. So what ultimately we want to do is build a disruptive and boutique professional services firm, and try and blur the lines between different service lines. So ultimately, and a long story is we have our deals business, which is completely focused on transactions, and that could be M&A advice, it could be financial due diligence, it could be valuations, it could be a bit of strategic work for people. We have our people business, which goes back to the genesis of Hutcheon Mearns, which is interim employee laws that we will allocate into companies to help out on projects. And some of those projects could be transactions or transactional in nature. And also off the back of that, we have a recruitment business and exec search business where we have a team of individuals who, led by accountants who can help companies find the right people to put into their company. And then laterally, more recently, we have built out what we call an insights business, and that's all about data analytics, how we support businesses in getting better data out of their systems to allow them to make better decisions and ultimately run their business more efficiently. So it's a long story, but that is ultimately it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. In such a short period of time, I think you said that you've went from 6 people when you started to up to 50, I think it was you said that are up to now.
Yeah.
That's, how have you found that growth that,
Yeah,
in that sort of short period of time? How's that been for
it's
you?
fun. I suppose last year was instrumental for us. We added 20 people to our business last year alone. And I think the business was set up in a downturn actually in Aberdeen, where it was actually quite good for the business. So if you look at our competitors out there, we compete with accounting firms, we compete with recruiters, we compete with M&A investment banks, but we don't compete with anybody across the whole story. And I think our ability to offer quite a holistic and integrated approach to clients has been well received, shall we say. And again, be much more flexible in how we act for our clients. So I think what we found is demand has continued. Certainly the interim business for us, even through COVID, was really, really busy because ultimately, whether you're having a good time or a bad time, you need financial results. You need to understand your business, and actually, in tough times, you need to understand it more. And we had this situation where companies were probably cutting full-time equivalents, but you still need to report to your investors, you still need to report to your banks. So that piece was good for us. And then the deals side of our business is last year was a record year for deals for us. And interestingly, we've just announced this morning that we are finalist in the Scottish Deal and Dealmakers Awards for Corporate Finance Team of the Year. So that was quite humbling. But we have built, being very biased, a world-class team. So, we've gone from effectively day one of me being in the office thinking, I need to go and win some work, to we now have, people who are director, managing director level from investment banking. We have people from Big Four. We have people from industry. So we have that ability to blend a lot of advice to our clients. And I think genuinely being disruptive, being new, being different in how we operate with clients has allowed us to go and win a lot of work.
Excellent, excellent, and congratulations on being nominated for an award. So well done. That's amazing. Well done, well done. And what I kind of took from that is that there's been you kind of talking about some challenges along the way, then, and what's been the biggest learning from some of those challenges as someone who runs a business, then?
Good question. I think probably the best piece of advice certainly I've been given is about make sure we have the best people in our business and don't be afraid to pay for them. It sounds really simple, but we are very selective in who we take on. And I think even when I joined the business, there was 6 of us. We were very fussy in the type of people we took into the business, and we wanted them to align to the story. We wanted them to have all the right expertise, and that has continued. And by doing that, it probably allowed us to accelerate that development throughout, because you can trust people to run divisions now. We have divisional heads who are running their own business. I don't think involved in the day-to-day of those. So I think the right people is key. And the other piece for me is that ability to, I suppose, be able to work on the business but also in the business. So I came in to build a function, and we've done that, and I am very much client facing. I work on projects, and I want to work on projects. Probably some of the difficulty we have is as we've scaled, there's more things going on at a company level that we want to do and we want to progress, and strategic actions, etc. So that's been tough, and I think it's tough for any owner manager of a business is how you blend the two and make sure you're growing from a revenue perspective, but also thinking longer term, 3, 4, 5 years out. So probably the best thing we did is we we formalised the board. We brought in non-executive who had a bit of grey hair and gravitas to us, and we added more people into our board to help us create the right sort of mechanism and the right pathway for growth.
Excellent, excellent. And as for growth, then, as you just sort of ended it there, is there aspirations for the business to grow in the next 5 years, 10 years, even further?
Yeah, for sure. So in fact, we were kind of year 2 into a 5-year plan for us, which we developed, and I think that was a really good thing for us to do as a business, and any business should be thinking long term, because whilst the route to the end goal may not always be smooth sailing, I think having at least an end goal in your head is always useful for any company. For us, it's about, I think, our biggest office is Aberdeen, and we have most of our people here. For us, it's about how do we expand it geographically successfully. So we have aspirations, and we've just taken a bigger office in Edinburgh. We've got a new senior person joining us very shortly in Edinburgh in August. I think we will look to replicate what we do in key strategic locations, and that effectively comes back to I think we win work because of our business model, and that's key, because if we had the same business model in Edinburgh, Manchester, London, Newcastle, wherever that may be, then we're competing with the same type of firms that we're competing with in Aberdeen or Dundee or Edinburgh, and actually there's a real place for it, and there's a real gap.
Excellent, excellent. Well, yeah, and all the best. That's amazing. That's amazing. Kind of got to go off topic a little bit here, and I kind of want to know what sort of spurs you on a little bit. So when you think of success or successful people, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Oh, good question. I'm really bad for this, because I don't look at one person and say I want to be like them, and I'm probably the opposite to that. I think we try very hard and to carve our own path, and success for me is not about ultimately building a business or having money in the bank or anything. It's about your family. It's about being healthy, all of that around there. And the reason that I'm probably not answering your question specifically, but for me, it's a bit like that. You see some people are always chasing happiness. I think it's about how do you be successful where you are, and how do you be happy where you are, and just keep going on that journey. So there are a bunch of really interesting business minds out there that we or certainly I follow, and I think they've done a great job. But actually, some of the super successful people that you see in the news have given up a lot to get there. And whether that's family or whether that's personally. So yeah, I try and just stay pretty grounded, and make sure we're happy where we are, but actually we've got a pathway to go. So hopefully that's an elegant way to not answer your question.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I think that's a great answer. Maybe I'll ask something kind of similar then. Is there anyone who maybe not based on success then? Is there anyone who has inspired you or inspires you still?
Yeah, it's again a good question. I think having been in transactions for a lot of time, I think the people that certainly there's a lot of people in the local market that are inspiring in terms of what they've done and how they have done it. And they've built some fantastic businesses and created a lot of opportunity for people. I could take inspiration for a lot of people around me. So to give you an example, our board, we've got a guy, Peter Stewart, who worked for a private equity company for years and years, was an engineer, went into private equity, and was instrumental in some pretty big transactions. Now, that is great and amazing to see. Our other non-exec, Rick Clark, he came out of KPMG, he was senior partner there, and then went and actually was a CFO at the private equity business that I worked for back in the days. And again, what he's done has been really, really exciting, and just a great person to work with. And so, I look around my clients and I think that's pretty interesting. Some of these where you've got businesses that have grown, that have become very successful, that they've taken some risks, and they've built something significant. And I think all of those for me are impressive.
That's brilliant. So your clients are an inspiration to you. I think that's amazing. That's admirable. So yeah, thank you so much. Again, another good answer. Thank you so much. Listen, I've got one last question. And I always like to ask this one just before we wrap things up. And it's as someone who's running a very successful and growing business. Is there any advice that you would give to a business owner right now, whether they're just about to start off in uh, their new business adventure, or if they've been in business for a long time? Is there any advice that you would give any business owner?
Yeah, definitely. And you'll think I'm incredibly biased on this, but and to be honest, I would say this to anybody is to take in the right finance support very early. And you will feel like you're paying more for it than you want to in the early days of a business, but it will be worth its weight in gold when it comes to, effectively either selling your business or raising some capital or something else. Being a transactions guy, the number of businesses and clients that we have that are very successful, but actually don't have the level of detail and data that you would need, or I suppose foundation for a transaction would surprise you. So yeah, I think the good housekeeping is the best thing to do, and making sure that you understand your business. You've got a very, very clear understanding of the financial performance, the cash flows of your company. The other piece is around tax and making sure you're well set up for tax. If there is ever a deal killer, it's tax, and that's something we see where people just don't do enough, to be honest. So I and these are all the things that are easy to forget in the early days because you're busy running around, you're winning work, and you're being successful. But if you don't think about them early enough, it'll be something that comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, a great piece of advice. Great advice. And thank you very much for that, Adam. And thank you very much for joining us today for the Business Spotlight interview. It's been a pleasure, Adam. Thank you.
No, thank you. Very welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching Business Spotlight. I'm Mark Hunter, and we've had Adam Maitland. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye now.